All right, good evening, Happy New Year, and thank you for attending the second virtual quarterly consortium of the 25-26 school year. This evening, we have two of our directors of officials, among the other many, many hats that they wear in their respective state associations, who will be presenting tonight about developing a junior officials program. And those of you who have been on these in the past, what we're doing with these consortiums is really trying to find ideas that work. These are specific. This year, we've been talking a lot about recruitment and retention. So this is something that certainly falls into that. And the two presenters we have this evening will certainly be able to speak to their expertise in this area with regard to their junior officials programs. We'll do the presentation at the end. We'll hold for questions. So if you've got any questions for our presenters, you can ask them at that time. Our presenters this evening are Butch Cope from the Kentucky High School Athletic Association and Pat Gebhart from the Pennsylvania Interscholastic Athletic Association. And to start off, I want to say thank you to Butch and Pat for the time and the preparation and the willingness to present and share your knowledge with your companions and counterparts across the country. So order of events, Butch will be up first, and then Pat will be our closer, and then we'll go ahead and open up to questions. So without further ado, I will pass on to Butch Cope. Butch, you're on.
Thanks. Good evening, everyone. And like Dana said earlier, we know there's lots going on tonight, whether it's a state event or a football semifinal or any other thing. Appreciate taking the time to kind of share where we got to do in our junior officials program. I know there are a lot of other states that are either starting one or considering to start one. And I'm sure you'll see some things that we do that you'll say, oh, hell no, that wouldn't work in Kansas. Scott wouldn't say that though. But you might see something from Pat to say, oh yeah, why didn't we think of that? And that's the beauty of all of these things on that. So I think one of the main things, the reason why we started a junior officials program is just our numbers. Coming out of COVID, whatever, we were not seeing officials come back. And also we're aging out too, as well. So what we did in July 22, Julian and myself and the rest of the staff, we presented to our board that we wanted to start our program. We had a college program previously. So we felt like was an extension of that. So we presented it to our board, and the very first thing when we told them we wanted to license 14 to 17-year-olds, they're like, what? We're like, no, listen to us. They're not going to work the marquee matchup on a Friday night with the big game. This is to get kids that are interested, that are possibly still playing the sport or, might not play it past high school to get them in the barn, so to speak. So the board endorsed that, and we have fall regional meetings that we go across the state like many of you do. We shared that with them, got the exact same reaction, saying you're going to put two 14-year-olds on a varsity football game. And it's like, no, don't go over the board yet. Listen to us at what we want to do. So what we did was allow 14 to 17-year-olds that initially would work middle school games. They had all the requirements of our regular officials other than a background check because they're under 18. And we reduced the fee by $10, the admin fee. And our thought process on that was, if we open it up to where they were just free, do they have not having any skin in the game? Are they taking it serious? Or if they see they at least have to pay a nominal fee to get in, do they at least, show that they are interested in that? So that's where we started with that. And one of the other things that we've talked about, because this is now our third year of doing it, is each year our 14 to 17-year-olds have to take the Part 1 test. And then once they turn 18, then they license as a regular official, and they don't only have to take that once. I think some of us would say some of our officials need to take Part 1 test every year, including our coaches too. But that's how we started it out. And as I said, the first year, they only did the middle school level. And I think, in all of this, we didn't know the numbers that we were going to get. but we got 56 the first year. Probably spread amongst the sports of basketball, wrestling, and baseball. Those were the tops. And I can say wrestling by far blew everything out of the water. They are our crown jewel of showing what a junior officials program should work like. And I don't know if that's because we have one association for our wrestling, because we only have a certain number of schools that sponsor it, about 95 schools that sponsor it, and we have 4 local assigners. So is that part of the success as to where basketball, we have 14 assigners, and we all know how once you get down to that grassroots level, everybody does it their own way. But the feedback that we got after that first year was, even from some of our football assigners, was these kids are ready. They don't need to be stuck at the middle school level. And the mentors are a key in making a successful junior program. Making sure that we're not just the whole good old boy network, and everybody that's a junior official go in this corner over here at our meetings, and everybody that's a veteran go over here. But the assigners, our local people, were saying they're ready to do other levels. And I think another reason why we started a junior officials program was that we were canceling more and more of our freshman and JV games just so we could get varsity games covered. And just to get those varsity game covers doesn't necessarily mean we've got the best officials working. So we wanted a way of helping that freshman and JV contest and allowing that junior official to go ahead and work that contest. And our board endorsed that and approved that this last year, to where now they can work any level but just the varsity. We won't let them work their own school, but they could work another school across town or whatever. And I think one of the other feedbacks that we've got from our local assigners too as well, and this came from the wrestling folks, is they saw that we're bridging that age gap. And one of the positives that the wrestling assigner said, if I've got a junior official, whether I lose them or not when they go to college, wherever they go, they've already got 2 or 3 years on the mat experience. And that's a positive when they go on to become a regular licensed official. We've got to make sure our assigners and our local groups are welcoming during that training, that evaluating, showing all of that. It's not the success to the junior officials program is no different than the success to recruiting and retention of a regular official. The keys are all the same. They have the same regular local meeting attendance and the trainings that they have to do on the other officials, and they're paid the same rate, standard rate. We had one of the instances where, when we were talking through this, was okay. Do we want an identifier? Do we want a patch? We used to have various levels of officials, and they had a different colored patch, whether I was a level 1, 2, or 3. And we talked in depth with it that, if we give them a patch and identify that they're a junior official, then maybe that'll let that coach or that parent take it easier on them. Well, odds are that's not going to happen. We thought that they just made the target larger on them. That's saying, oh, well, maybe they, will take and go after them even more. And we didn't want to put that burden on those junior officials. So we have them dress, do everything as much as we can as a regular licensed official would. And I think one of the other things that has been really positive from our wrestling group is they really are using social media and getting the word out on the junior program. At our state wrestling tournament the last couple of years, that group, we've invited back our junior officials and recognized them at the state championship. And we're even hearing back from those assigners, the local assigners, that I might be a junior official and I'm not working that game, but I'm continuing to work that contest, and I see a ruling that took place. I seek out that mentor official that I had been working with and go, what were you seeing? What were you thinking? What was the ruling on that? So I think the junior officials program also helps our students learn the rules too, as well. That's key, because we ask our student leadership group, we ask them every year, would you be interested in being a licensed official? And I think we had one this year that was a current licensed official. The rest always say, no, we don't want to put up what they have to put up with. And, we've got to kind of change that narrative. As far as, we always, the cost involved, we got the admin fee, and then the gear. I talked to one of our football local assigners about what they do with their junior officials, and their local group donates the equipment. It's used equipment, but they donate the equipment so they can do that. So again, getting that buy-in of the local group, and the local association to welcome these folks in, just like they would a new official, regular official on that. One of the main things that I think is discouraging, that has been the last couple of years, is, we do our regional meetings in the fall that I mentioned, and we need officials. If you've got a kid that's interested in it, make sure get us in touch with them. Our coaches meetings, we mentioned that, is their lack of help. They're complaining that their freshman and JV games are getting canceled, but they're not helping us identify these young men and young women to be an official or encourage them on that. So that's been one of our challenges in dealing with that. And then go ahead, Dana, you can flip it to the next. One of the things that we've talked about is we're partnered with ref reps, and we get those certain number of courses that we're going to do. We just had a couple of webinars with our membership that are looking at teaching that course online. We're going to spearhead some of those scholarships toward that. But we're going to go back to these wrestling local associations and our football and our basketball and any of them that are interested for that matter, and use some of those courses toward those students to allow them some continuing education to expand on that. So we're going to start that beginning this calendar year to kick it off to baseball, softball, and we're probably too late for basketball and wrestling, but see how that goes. And then as far as once that official turns 18, like we said, the beauty earlier, they've got 2 or 3 years of service time on the mat. Well, they've also got that service time within our system. We recognize that toward our 25-year and 50-year recognitions, that if you were a junior official, those years would count as well. And then just kind of wrapping it up before we turn it over to Pat is, just some of the challenges that we face, and some of you may have that have these programs, or is just that lack of enthusiasm by the administrators and the coaches to assist with the program. I think one of the other things that I heard from the volleyball assigning secretary was, I might assign them to the middle school level, but in middle school, we only use one official. So I don't have enough games for my regular officials to then assign our junior officials. We just don't have enough contests. And my response to that signer was, I get that, but you also are sowing a seed for the future. So don't be just giving the people that have been working your games all through the year, whether it's middle school, freshman, or JV, you need to be planting the seed and giving these junior officials opportunity to be on the court with them on that. And we've even had some areas that had only used one official in volleyball in the past say, okay, we're going to use 2 for X number of games, so you will have the opportunity to assign the junior officials. So we are getting a little help on that. And then just we like I said, the cost for some sports, our local group has been stepping up to help them with those equipments and everything. Then I know you said you wanted to about 15 minutes, so I tried to stay to 15 minutes. So that's pretty much what we've done. And like I say, I know it may be different in Pennsylvania, may be different in Kansas, South Dakota, wherever, but if there's one little nugget we can help each other out on, I'd love to hear it.
Thank you, Butch. And 15 minutes was just a guideline. You could always go longer than that, but I appreciate it. Next up is Pat Gebhart from the PIAA, and I'll turn it over to him to talk about their junior officials program. Thank you, Butch.
Thanks, Dana, and thanks for the opportunity to be on this tonight. And I should also thank Butch. I saw that their junior officials program started in July of 22. And isn't it funny that ours was November of 22? That's because when I came to the association here 13 years ago, I will be honest with you, Butch is one of the people that I tried to emulate and still do. So thanks to Butch on behalf of our junior officials. I will tell you, we're probably hitting the 400 or 500 official number with regard to junior officials. We're just past 3 years of the program, and I'm just going to go through some bullet points very quick. I will tell you the one thing Butch said about if you can get a couple nuggets out of this, that's great. I wrote 3 notes down just on what Butch said, which I'll follow up with when I get back to the office. But moving on to the topic, our junior officials program is a little bit different than Butch's. We only went with 16 and 17-year-olds, and they could only officiate junior high contests, ninth grade on down. 7, 8, 9 was all our board of directors approved for. We felt that a lot of these kids that are 16 would probably be in 10th grade or older, and they would not be officiating their buddies. So they could do the 9th or 7th, 8th, and 9th grade games. They could probably leave the high school, walk to the middle school, hopefully. They wouldn't need transportation. They can do those. That's really where we ended up, why we ended up with 16 and 17-year-olds. Butch talked about mentorship program. I will tell you that they must be strong and active. And that is one area where we lack in Pennsylvania. Just be upfront with it for a variety of reasons. Our mentors don't want to give the games up, plain and simple. And I think we all see that where some of those folks, oh, that kid's taking my game, and we find issues with that. A lot of them don't want to invest the time and effort to be a mentor. So we do have problems with that. We try to make sure our assigners are aware of junior officials and assign them with their mentor. Sometimes that's problematic where that's extra work for people. And you know how that is now. Many don't want to do that. We also felt that social media access for these groups should be considered. If we can get them out on Twitter or Instagram, whatever it is, highlighting them, doing their games with their mentors, we felt that might add to the pool just by their fellow classmates seeing that, and hopefully they would become an official. The junior officials need to be felt welcome at meetings and engaged in conversation at these meetings. I know it's sometimes difficult when you have a 40-year official and you have a junior official at the same meeting for them to speak up, but we do ask their mentors to try to guide them in that capacity. They must be given opportunities to work immediately. We think that is one of the most important parts, that get them on the court, the field, the pool, whatever it is, get them some work so they can, number one, make some money. And I think we've really found that that might be one of the most important parts, put some cash in these kids' pockets, and they want to come back and do it again. There are some negative things, and a couple of those are interspersed here. Attendance at meetings are required. In Pennsylvania, you must attend 4 chapter meetings and 1 rules meeting every year to remain active. We felt that junior officials should do the same thing that a senior official would have to do. We require them to test. They have to pass the test. They have to attend meetings. And I'll probably talk about it later, but they are required to get clearances in Pennsylvania. The state mandates, as a result of the Jerry Sandusky Penn State fracas, that all officials must get clearances. And while these kids are 16 and 17-year-olds, the legislature in Pennsylvania has decided that they are still required to get clearances, which amount to $60. They're good for a 5-year period. So that could be one of the impediments to us getting more junior officials. We do not want them to be considered volunteers. We want them to get the same pay that a standard official would get. I have another note here about social media. We've used that. We've encouraged chapters to have meetings prior to meetings. Those 4 meetings are really for the standard group of officials, but if you can have a 30-minute or a 1-hour meeting prior to your standard meeting for those junior officials, we found that's been very helpful. Butch talked about equipment. I think we're all aware of the cost of equipment, especially when it comes to baseball and softball. That can be an impediment to becoming an official. We've asked officials chapters to create an officials closet where they could use used equipment early in their careers. It's before they really are able to get money in their pocket. Some key points for current officials. We felt that it was also the responsibility of current officials to seek out these prospective junior officials. Engage the athletes that they run into in conversations on officiating, become a mentor and work contests with their mentee, and provide feedback. I think feedback is very important also to the junior official. Let them know how they're performing. Also, if you haven't worked with your junior official in some time, to check in periodically, maybe once a week or every couple weeks, just to see if they need anything. And of course, video is big in the officiating world, to have them be able to learn. Key points to our schools. We thought the game management must be especially alert and active when a junior official is working, sort of what Butch talked about, identifying them. We thought long and hard about that. I think in England, they do identify younger officials with a different colored whistle. And we talked about that. And for the same reasons that Kentucky decided not to go with that, we did the same. We do not identify our junior officials. We also thought that maybe schools could do something that created a club, an officiating club that some of our schools have bought into, and use that to recruit junior officials. We also want to provide notoriety to those students that are engaged in the program, and have schools congratulate them when they work their first game or second game, or work with a mentor, or maybe do a junior high playoff game if that might be the case. And we, of course, ask for the standard game fees for junior officials. And at the end of my presentation, I'll go over the positives and the negatives and probably touch on the game fees a little bit more in depth. With regard to coaches, they might be one of the most important aspects of junior officials program, and that's just to encourage their students they see in the hallways or the players on their teams to become officials. We ask them, of course, to treat all officials with respect, and of course, junior officials are probably even with more respect. Leave the adversarial position at the door. We feel that that has no place with regard to a junior official working in contest, and provide feedback through the chapter. I think a junior official having the president of their chapter say, hey, Coach ABC called me and said you did a great job the other day. Tell me that wouldn't be a confidence builder for a junior official. So that's one thing coaches could do to help us in this regard. This is what we try to tell prospective junior officials. Why would you want to become an official? Hanging with your buddies, stay fit, opportunities for all sports, make some cash, learn life skills. I know that's one of those nebulous phrases that I'm not so sure a 16-year-old really knows what learning life skills is, but we have it in there. And stay connected to sports by learning the rules. And you have those kids on teams that it might be the 10th person on the basketball bench. Those are the kids that maybe some of your best officials, because they don't get to play, but they still want to be involved. So encourage them to become a junior official. You could flip through, Dana. Thank you. Here are a couple of the roadblocks, and I'll talk about these more at length. We have lack of interest by students and really by administrators. I think once schools have to postpone a contest because there aren't any officials to work it, that's when an athletic director is like, I think we need to do something. And that's probably a little bit too late, but that's one of the things we suffer from in Pennsylvania. Continued poor treatment of officials and junior officials in Pennsylvania. The one thing that we ran into that we did not foresee was conflicts with those playing the sport. And me being a basketball guy, if you have a varsity basketball player that wants to become a junior official, how does he go officiate a junior high game when they have practice? So it is difficult if you're going to work the same sport that you're playing. If you can work an alternative sport, that might remove that impediment, but there are conflicts. So lack of contest to work, I already talked about that, where some officials want to work every game and they don't want to give any games up. You've seen it. I'm sure you've heard about it. Alienation by chapter members. They want nothing to do with the 16-year-old. You know, I'm a 60-year-old guy. I really don't have anything in common with a 16-year-old. So they sort of alienate those junior officials. And startup costs for junior officials can be difficult. In Pennsylvania, we do waive the $40 registration fee for all students. They can take the test for free. The problem is they have equipment and they have the state mandated clearances, which are $60, which we have not gotten our legislature to move off of. I just talked about the fees waived. They can officiate at the current school district. We do have a conflict of interest policy in Pennsylvania, but we haven't formally waived it, but we've waived it in Pennsylvania for junior officials. They can officiate at the same school where they go. When they graduate or become 18, they automatically become a senior official, for lack of a better term. I hate to use the word normal official because some of us really aren't too normal, but they can become a senior official by turning 18 or being a graduate. The one thing I ask chapters to do is if a junior official is leaving officiating, much like many of the studies around the country have revealed that if they conduct an exit interview, it's often abused by spectators, coaches, and players. Like I mentioned before, conflict of interest should not be an issue, especially with the lower level contest. And we have a group that's called Officially Sports. They are our official supplier. They have been kind enough to provide uniforms at a reduced cost to our junior officials. So these are just some bullet points that Dana added. I don't know if they have a whole lot of context to what we're doing here. These were things that we wanted to get done and got those done. We continue to work to try to make the junior official program even more successful. I think next week with the Officials Appreciation Week, we try to highlight junior officials with regard to that week, which the NFHS, Dana has done a great job getting that out. So, Dana, can I see the next slide, please? Yeah, this is much of the same from before that I really won't go over. I'm at 7:29. I feel pressure because Butch hit 15 minutes and I'm at 14 now. So I just do want to, and I know Dana will provide this to everyone. I do just want to go over the bad points and good points, and I have them noted here. We've had schools that question the credentials of a junior official, even though they go through the same testing, same clearances, required to attend the same meetings. Schools don't want to pay the full fee. They want to pay a reduced fee. And we've told them that's not appropriate. Clearances are still $60. Meetings must be attended. Senior officials hoard games. We have reluctant mentors. The centers use the Good Old Boys Network. Gear can be costly, and ADs are often of little help. The good points, which it's a smaller list, I hate to say that. The good points is, one of the good points is we have access to these kids while they're still in school. So if we get them when they're sophomore, we can get sophomore, junior, and hopefully senior year. We get 3 years in. Everyone knows what the statistics show. You get an official for 2 or 3 years, you might have them for a lifetime. And scheduling conflicts with participating junior officials, that can be difficult to handle also. So those are our points in Pennsylvania. Like I said, it's going okay. It could be better, but folks like us, we don't give up the fight. I'm sure each of you agree with that. So that's really it, Dana. Thank you for the time.
Absolutely. Thank you, Pat. And really, I don't think Butch went 15. You didn't go 14 because I did like 5 minutes of intro. So you still had space left. So
Nice.
at this time, thank you, Pat, for your presentation. And I think it was important. I know when I had asked the two of you to speak to talk about, the good, the bad, and the ugly, because anything that we do in this business, there's going to be some resistance. There's going to be people who are just, they don't like to change. They don't like things that are new. So I always think it's good to look at things realistically as well and just talk about the roadblocks and road bumps that you hit along the way. So I appreciate you guys talking to those points as well. At this time, I'd like to afford the opportunity for anybody in attendance to unmute and ask Pat or Butch or each other questions. So if you want to come off mute and ask questions, now would be the time to do it.
Hey, one thing I just wanted to share. Thank you, Pat and Butch, for showing this because this is something I've been trying to kind of see how we can get going in Kansas. So, just something I wanted to share with you guys that we do. Dana, can I share my screen real quick?
Oh man, you're
Awesome.
putting pressure on me. Yeah, hang
I
on a second.
know. I figured you could handle it.
Man, it's after hours. I don't know what I'm doing. Okay, you should be able to now. If not, let me know.
If I can find it, be the thing. There we go.
Great. Neither of us know what we're doing. That's not
Yeah.
good.
So one thing, this was something that's pretty easy. If you guys do crew cards, if you have this template on there, one way to do it, QR codes is obviously an awesome thing. So when I give these out as an official or our guys do, if they put this on the back, not saying they do, but we're talking about utilizing coaches who have those people. They can scan this. So, hey, maybe you add something from your side to say, hey, you have a kid interested in becoming an official, scan this QR code to learn more. So that was just one thing that, after being an official for 17 years and moving in state office, that was kind of my epiphany or aha moment, if you will. So, again, QR codes are kind of the thing of the future. And one thing we've also done in the state is making in-person trainings a requirement. And it's amazing when you make something a in-person requirement or make postseason eligible, how some of those old codgers, if you will change because when you start saying it's a postseason requirement, they'll do whatever it takes so they can get their recs, do whatever. So I think that's just important to have in mindset. Change is hard and change sucks sometimes, but guess what? They'll jump through the hoops. If not, we'll get other ones. So I'm off my box now. Thank you.
You're good. Thank you, Scott. Appreciate you sharing that. Any other questions or comments or items to share now that I took the screen share off and Scott showed that somebody else can do it? If anybody else has something that they'd like to share, feel free. And as Pat mentioned, everybody that's on will get a copy of the recording as well as the slide deck so that you've got it to use. So if you were taking notes and missed something, you'll be able to refer back. And certainly if you need to reach out to us, please feel free to do that. We're here to answer questions. And I think I speak for Butch and Pat when I say that. Should you have questions specific to their junior officials programs?
And I did have a question. Do we know how many states have a junior officials program?
According to the last department survey that I did, there were 21 who stated that they had some sort of junior officials program. In many states, that was just like a reduced rate registration. So they weren't really doing anything in terms of a program, but they were offering, a $20 registration fee or a free registration fee for those high school students they're officiating. So I guess the definition was pretty loose on the survey, but I'm really curious to see if anybody's doing more of, if it's ref reps, if it's, something else where they're bringing them in and having a mentor, whatever the case may be. So I probably need to do a little more deep dive with the states to see what's going on in that area.
Dana, this is Kathy Smith from Wyoming, and we do have quite a few schools that have been doing ref reps, and we have more that are trying to figure out how to put that into their even daily curriculum of their school. And we have a couple of schools that have quite a few kids helping do middle school and sub-varsity. So we're trying hard in Wyoming to try to advance that. But I got some really good ideas tonight, so I really appreciate all of that.
Absolutely. Thanks, Kathy. Appreciate the feedback and glad to have you on. I appreciate you showing up.
In South Dakota, we have some of the same things going with the ref reps. And so we have these students that are doing this and we want to get them involved. And prior to that, we did not let those that were not 18 register. So we've gone to that we let them register because we think it's important that they have the protection of insurance and such. And so they're not allowed to do the varsity, but lower levels. So, but I'd like to, go farther with this and take what's shared tonight and try to get more going with that. So I appreciate that.
It's great. Thanks, Christina. Anything else before we let everybody have the rest of their night back?
They're just doing the national anthem for the game, so I think your timing is good.
Excellent. Thanks for being the spotter there, Christina. We appreciate it. Well, Pat, Butch, thank you again for your presentation. And to those who attended, thank you so much for being on this evening. And you'll be on the lookout for a link to the recording on, I'll get it out to you either tomorrow or Monday. Everybody have a great weekend. And I hope 2026 is off to a fantastic start. Thanks for everything you all do.